As we get started in this section, I want to go back to some elementary middle school math. What if we had 2/3 plus 3/4? You can't cross multiply. You can only cross multiply over an equals sign, only when you have fraction equals fraction. Is the answer 5/7? So you at least know that you can't just add the tops and add the bottoms. With fractions, the bottoms have to be the same. You have to have a common denominator. So think about 3 and 4. What number pops into your head? Could we multiply by something to change that 3 into a 12? So 3 times what gives us 12? 4. But if you multiply the bottom of the fraction by 4, you have to also multiply the top of the fraction. So this becomes 8/12. And if you think about it, 8/12, if you simplified that fraction, it is 2/3. To make 4 become 12, we multiply by 3. So you multiply the top by 3. That one would be 9/12. And then you could add them together. What would your final answer be? 17/12. Don't change it to a mixed number. Now that we're in high school, mixed numbers are a waste of time. We want to keep it as an improper fraction. Okay, we're going to use everything that we just reminded ourselves about that problem in the lesson today. So, first thing is, to add fractions, the denominators must be the same. So take a look at number 1. Are the denominators the same? Yeah. Yes. So the bottom of the answer is going to be 3x. You would then add the tops. 4 plus 5 is 9. Now, take a moment and look at that. Could we simplify that further? Yeah. 9 divided by 3 is 3. So our final answer is 3/x. Okay. Number 2. Are the denominators the same in number 2? Yes. So our answer will have x minus 4 on the bottom. You don't combine the denominators. You don't multiply the denominators together. As long as the denominators match, then that denominator is your denominator in your answer. On the top, we then do 5 minus 8. What is 5 minus 8? Negative 3. Negative 3 over x minus 4. Should we start with that one? Yeah, let's start with that one. Number 3. Are the denominators the same? They are not. Your first step is going to be to factor the denominators if possible. So I've got 4 over 3x to the third. I'm going to leave myself some space. 6x to the third plus 3x squared. What do 6x to the third and 3x squared have in common? 3. X squared. If I do 6x to the third divided by 3x squared, I'd be left with 2x. And what is 3x squared divided by 3x squared? 1. Okay, now that we have the second one, the second denominator factored, instead of 3x to the third, I'm going to put 3x squared times x in that first denominator. Can anyone see why I did that? To make the denominators closer to the same. Do you see how both denominators now have a 3x squared? But I didn't change the denominator. It still has 3x squared times x, which means it has 3x to the third in it. Okay, now we're going to play the matchy-matchy game. Both denominators have 3x squared. That matches. What does the first denominator have that the second denominator doesn't have? X. We are going to do exactly what we did up here with the 4s and the 3s. If the first denominator has an X, the second denominator needs an X. So we're going to multiply by X, which means we have to multiply the top by X as well. Now, both denominators have another factor of X. What does the second denominator have that the first one doesn't have? 2x plus 1. So this one needs a 2x plus 1. If you multiply that on the bottom, you have to also multiply that on top. Okay, matchy-matchy game. The order of the denominator doesn't matter because with multiplication, you can multiply in any order that doesn't matter. So, do both denominators have a yellow and a blue and a green? Our denominator is 3x squared times x, so 3x to the third, and 2x plus 1. Now we need to find the numerator. What do you suppose we're going to have to do in that first numerator? Distribute. 4 times 2x is 8x. 4 times 1 is 4. And then it says plus x times x, so that would be plus x squared. Technically, I should make you rewrite this x squared plus 8x plus 4 over 3x to the third times the quantity 2x plus 1. However, if you didn't rewrite it in that order, I would count it as correct. I don't really care about the order. That's not the most important thing that we're doing right now. We are going to do number 5 before we do number 4. Number 5, I'm going to start by spacing out and factoring. We need to factor our denominators. So let's factor x squared plus 4x plus 3. I need two numbers that multiply to give me 3 and add up to 4. That would be 1 and 3. Leave some space. How does x squared minus 9 factor? 9 is a perfect square. The square root of 9 is 3, so x plus 3, x minus 3. Okay, time for the matchy-matchy game. Do the denominators have anything in common? They both have an x plus 3. The first denominator also has an x plus 1. Does the second denominator have an x plus 1? No, so it needs an x plus 1 on the bottom and the top. Now, they both have an x plus 1. What do we need to multiply into the first fraction? X minus 3 on the bottom and the top. All right. The denominators now match. They both have x plus 1. They both have x plus 3. They both have x minus 3. So our final denominator is x plus 1, x plus 3, x minus 3. Everybody look at the first numerator, the first top. Do you see this x minus 1? It needs to have parentheses around it. what do you think we're going to have to do with this x minus 1, x plus x minus 3? We're going to have to double distribute or FOIL or whatever it is that you call it. So x times x is x squared, negative 3x, negative 1x, positive 3. We also have this stuff, which we have to distribute. So plus x squared plus x. Okay, so multiply out the numerators. Notice I did not multiply the denominators. Don't worry about multiplying out the denominators. Just multiply the numerators so that you can combine your like terms. So next we need to combine our like terms. I've got x squared and x squared. That would be 2x squared. Negative 3x, negative 1x, and positive 1x, that would combine to be negative 3x plus 3. And the denominator, x plus 1, x plus 3, x minus 3. Okay, number 4, let's tackle this one really quick. We have x plus 1 over, we need to factor x squared plus 6x plus 9. We need two numbers that multiply to give us 9 and add up to 6. X plus 3, x plus 3. What symbol is in between these two fractions? Anytime you have a subtraction sign, attach it to the next numerator. So I'm going to write after a space negative 1 over, and then factor this, x plus 3, x minus 3. This one can be confusing for two reasons. The first reason is because there's a negative. Anytime there's a negative, you need to get that negative into the next numerator. That way, when you need to distribute, you won't lose the negative. The second confusing thing is that the first denominator has two x plus 3's. Only one of those matches the other denominator. So the second x plus 3 needs to be multiplied into the second fraction. The x minus 3 is also different. This one needs the x minus 3. So our denominator would be x plus 3, x plus 3, x minus 3. Some of you might be asking, could I write that as x plus 3 and then a little square? Yes, you absolutely can, and you probably should. On the top, look at all of the stuff that has to go on the top. Let's see, what color should I use? I'll just use red. You need to double distribute x plus 1, x minus 3. You need to distribute the negative 1 into the x plus 3, combine all of your like terms to get your final answer, and that would give you the top of your answer.